Hey, awesome artists. This is Mrs. Eats, and I am trying again to show you how I would approach a creative problem like our imaginative communications piece that we have for this week. I've already started to sketch mine out just so that I could save some time and sort of step you through what I did in composing this piece, and then I'm going to go in and show you how I'll polish it up a little bit more. This isn't too formal of a project. It's more about thinking about ways to creative problem solve. And so you had some things that you had to make sure to incorporate that I have listed on our course page for this assignment. The first thing was yourself. The second thing was a TV somewhere in the room, and then you were to show that it was at night and show in some way the sound without using, I forget what it said, captions or words, things like that. So I'm going to just show you an approach that I would use for my own style of art. Your own style may be different from mine, and that is totally okay. I want you guys to work on developing your own style. I don't want you to create work that looks exactly like mine. That's not the point. I don't like cookie cutter art, and that's not what this demonstration is about. It's just showing you how to start thinking about creative problem solving when you have these types of assignments. So what I'm going to do, I have some oil pastels there. For this assignment, I said you could use whatever media you would like to use, but pen or pencil would probably be easiest to do. But I also, if you want to add in color after the fact, that's fine. I've already seen some really creative approaches to it using mixed media techniques, and I can't wait for you guys to see. But I'm just going to show you how I approach this. So the first thing that I did in creating my sketch was I found like where I assumed, I just eyeball it. I mean, you can measure the page and get the exact proportions, but you probably want to have a straight edge with you some of the time when you're doing art, and just kind of eyeball like where is the middle of your paper. That is not my middle of my paper, I can tell already. So I'm going to come over here a little bit. Anyways, that's a little bit better. And I get a little bit confused when the ruler's like thick too. So, and even that's too high. So I'm gonna do without my ruler and just kind of like sketch in where I can see. Your eye is often a more reliable tool than measuring, which sounds crazy until you actually try it. When you're doing this kind of thing, your eye, when you have mastered, like practice drawing a lot of times, you'll get it down so that you can just look at it and you will know where the middle is on both ways. I can already tell that way was better than me trying to use a straight edge. But anyway, so I did that, and then what I did first was I kind of figured out where I wanted to put myself. I started with myself. I put myself in the middle of the page just so that I would go directly to it. So that would be the focus of this illustration when it's first looked at. You could easily I could have put it over here and balanced it out over here. We're going to talk about balance in some of the upcoming weeks and how you compose a artwork and look at some of those elements. I've balanced mine in a different way, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So I have myself here, and I don't think you can really see it very clearly, but I'm still like sketching it out. So I'll sketch it a little bit darker just so that you can see. And again, like you want to hold the pencil like a writing utensil when you're doing really fine detailed work. When you're roughing things in, you hold it like this. So when I was roughing, I did hold my pencil like that, just so you know. But now that I'm really wanting to get in with a little bit more detail, I'm going to go and hold it a different way to switch. And so this will be darker. So here I'm adding myself. And the first thing, it's hard for me now because I already have the sketch down. So I'm like looking for things to do. When I first sketched this down, I started with my head and I just sketched the oval of where I wanted my head shape to be. I'm using a darker pencil now too. Before I was using just a really light drawing pencil. This is my handy dandy ebony that I love. And I add my ears. And the face is going to be looking that way. I already know that. I've already worked out the proportions of the body. So when you start with the head, then what you want to do is come down. I know that the neck is going to be here. I figured out where the shoulders were going to be and where the torso would be. I kind of etched that out lightly. That's going to be this direction looking forward. And I figure out like where the shoulders would be on either side of the torso. I kind of rough that in and do the proportions of the arms and how an arm would bend. Now mine's kind of wonky here because your arm doesn't actually bend that way. And I do a lot of cartoon work, so that's kind of hard for me drawing people realistically. I'll make their arm like bend a totally different way. But as you know, your arm will only bend like up in this type of an L shape unless it's pointing down. And over here, same thing, it's got to go up in this sort of L shape, and sketch that down. So I've got the arm is here, but I have a blanket. I'm like, for my scene, I wanted to be like watching TV hidden behind a blanket. I'm just trying to rough in where I know that my body would be sitting. So the torso was going to be here, lower portion of the body would be here with my knees up, because that's, if I was watching TV at night, that's probably how I would be sitting on my couch. So I'm going to just kind of make that a little bit darker, but light enough that I can still erase it later, because I again want to have a blanket. This is where my feet would be. I have really little feet there. Anyways, so I'm gonna work on smoothing out my line instead of making like a sketchy line. Now I'm gonna smooth it out to have the blanket come around where the arm would be. And I'm doing like wavy lines because you want to show texture as much as you can to show like how a fabric would feel, even if it's just sort of an outline. It doesn't have to be like detailed shading for this work. Mine's more of like a cartoony sort of illustration, and you can approach it however you want to. You could make it realistic. That's a great way to go too. Mine is just going to be how I would draw. Okay, and then maybe the blanket would like be wrapped around my feet or something like that. I don't know. Normally, and I would probably show lines where it comes around so you can tell kind of that it's a blanket, maybe have it go off the couch. But anyways, once I had figured out where myself, the main subject of this drawing was going to be, then I'm gonna figure out where everything else is gonna go. I know that I needed to have a television set, and I knew that I was going to be sitting on the couch. So instead of me having me floating in space, I have my couch, and I've already have my sketch lines down where I did that before. So I'm just holding the pencil a little differently so I can go over it darker so you guys can see it a little bit more. Hands would be good. And let's see. So if I was holding my hand this way, I'm trying to figure out where my wrist would be. And thumb would be up here, and I'm gonna just this is my imagination, imagining that I'm maybe holding like a glass of water or something. So when I'm drawing my glass of water, I'm like doing my two lines up the top. I've got an oval shape up here for the opening of the glass. It's going to be larger than the bottom of the glass. And the water is going to be shooting out of the glass. Looks like a hand actually, but some water droplets, some blobs. Anyways, I guess I was drinking a lot of water. I don't know. Anyways, I'm adding some lines there to show the direction of it. Over here, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm coming back to the body because it's really bothering me that I didn't quite finish it. I'm going to fix my feet like I probably have on socks, so I'm not going to worry about toes. I don't like drawing those anyways. So, and if my hand was coming up here, my thumb would be on top. And then I've got my hands kind of releasing the bowl, and that would be my open hand, releasing, like throwing a bowl, and I'll get to that in a minute. So anyways, I've got, there's the body all there. We'll go back to the face details later. And then I'm going to go to the couch. So when you are drawing whatever you're sitting on, things to think about when you're drawing is any object, especially from your imagination. I didn't have anything I was looking at. I just knew I wanted a couch. So maybe go look at your couch and see what it looks like. Because you might pick up on details that you aren't thinking about that are there on a couch. But we know all couches have a back to them. Like, that's part of the point of sitting on them. But so you want to make sure that your lines are going parallel. You could use a ruler to do that. A lot of times that's an easier way to go, especially if you know exactly where you want to put it. Just get that sketched in. And it's an easy way to make sure that your lines are going the same direction. You don't want to have one part of the back of your couch going one way and then this one's off. So if you want to make sure, you can just move it up. So that's just another way you could do that. I'm going to make this one go a little bit longer because it's farther away. I'm sketching it back. So this line, the angle is like this. So I need to make sure that this angle is like this. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. I've got that all lined up, and I'm gonna switch to a different grasp just to get this in here a little bit better and use my arm. A lot of times you can get your lines a little bit straighter if you're using your arm than your wrist. So I did this here, did that here. These two lines are gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same over here because we're going down. So make sure you get that angle right. Over here as well. This one will go up a little bit more because this angle has to also match that. And this one will match that. Just lots, you just gotta think in angles, lines, and shapes when you're drawing anything. Angle, angle. Maybe that will come out that way. And then this line's gonna match this line. It's the bottom of the couch. Coming this way. Again, this will come this way. Now, and I'm gonna finish what I can of the couch here because then I have the next object that I was required for this assignment coming into view. So this is here. This is gonna come out maybe a little bit farther over here, I guess. Here, here. I don't like to use a straight edge a lot of times unless I really have to, and especially for a drawing like this. This isn't like a very technical piece. It's just something from my imagination, so it's okay. If you want to use it and it is helpful to you, then use it. Over here, I'm going to add in the television set. I went old school with a big old box TV. We don't have this kind of TV, but I did when I was growing up, and that's how I imagined myself sitting watching TV at night, being scared by a noise, because that would have definitely been me as a teenager, young adult. Now I go to sleep. I'm not staying up watching TV. I'm just like etching in like where that angle's off. So etching that in for the television set. Probably had an antenna on it, I'm guessing, when I was a kid. So I'm going to include that in mine. Yours might be like a wall-mounted television. Maybe you don't even have a television. Maybe you're looking at your phone and watching something there. Maybe that's your television. But we had these big old TV screens, so I'm gonna make the screen kind of come out, bubble away from the TV. I turned it so that it was like more facing the direction of where I was sitting on the couch, even though it's not lined up perfectly on this stand, which you'll see here in a second, but that's the way I wanted it. I didn't want it to look I wanted to show some variation in my lines and the way that things were being angled, and not have everything like so stiff and all facing like line. I wanted to make this one a little bit turned, so I did it that way. And then I'm going to do the same here. This side's going to come down darker. And just like getting these lines to show up a little bit more for you guys at home. Okay, so I've got my TV, I've got me sitting on the couch. The other thing that I was supposed to show is that it's night. So the way that I was going to do that is, first of all, I'm gonna show where the room is, I guess. So the couch isn't just floating in space. Putting in like a horizon line over here, and actually, wait, this was my line. Sorry, I darkened the wrong line. I had this be the back of the room, and then I created a, wait, how did I have this? Sorry, I've got too many like lines that I was messing around with, so I can't actually see like where my real one is supposed to be. All right, and then I had like a window is what I don't really like how I have that as like I was meaning to make it be like the corner of the wall, but I don't like, it's too lined up with the couch, and I don't really, I'd rather offset it so it doesn't, that just bothers me like artistically. So I don't want it to look, some people like to do theirs like, very technical and like all their lines to line up. So, but this is supposed to be my corner of the wall, and I'd rather it be a little bit off center. And then the rest, the floor of this room is over here. And then I'm going to have a window. And so remember, you have to match up your lines here. So this will be a window, and then there'll be a top line on the window there, here, coming across the wall. I might make it bigger on this end, and maybe, I mean, you can do it however you want to. Again, mine's not being a realistic drawing. It's being more of a sort of cartoony illustration, because this is imaginative creation. We'll get into like drawing more realistically later on. Got some curtains coming off here. But this was the other feature then, was that you were to show that you heard, so I drew the window here so that I can show that it's out at night outside. What I might do is just kind of rough in like some of the, like maybe what it looks like outside. This was the bottom of the windowsill, so maybe there's like, I don't know, maybe there's a tree outside, and I'm just going to show the outline of it because it's at night, so I'm not going to be able to see all the details. Maybe there's like a fence row, so I might just show that outside as well. And maybe I don't know, I think I planned on having the moon be outside this window, but maybe I'll just move it out here, and then when I go back in, I'll make it dark. And I don't know, you could add stars if you wanted to. Obviously they wouldn't really look like that, but so here's my line for with Flores. So my windowsill is going to have to match the lines that go with that. They're parallel. Okay, so I'm going to think about like what window looks like. You can go and take a look at any windows in your house too. How are you going to show that it's nighttime in your drawing is really the main thing to think about. I'm not going to be able to see all of the curtain because the couch is blocking it, so that's okay. So just stop. Don't try to like make it in shorter or something. Just go with what it like really would be like. And again, I'll like, I don't know, maybe there's some mountains in the background here, so I'll put those in. And there's the foreground. This is my background, and maybe there's some like, I don't know, pine trees. I don't know, things that you'd see just silhouettes of in the background. I'm just doing some crazy marks to just kind of make an impression. So we've got that, and then so we know that it's night. we need to know what caused the noise, or to signify that that you heard a noise. So again, I like to do cartoony stuff, so I just am doing like a silhouette, or not silhouette, an outline of like a stand over here, and just gonna roughen my table legs. And you gotta have 4 legs, and one would be, again, I don't like things lined up, so I don't want to make the table leg exactly like where the couch back is, but it kind of works out that way for this instance. I'll darken those because they're in shadows under the table. Maybe shadow part of that. This one would not be. And then, so for the noise, what I thought about was maybe it's like a vase like fell off the table. So I'm going to start by making the oval of the opening of the vase, and kind of do some lines. And again, this is just me kind of like getting everything its place. Maybe there were flowers in it or something, and they like fell out. I don't know what they were. Just do some lines, whatever. Some happy little flowers that are sad they fell out of the water. And maybe like there's water like coming out of the vase or something. I don't know, like a puddle, to do like lines there. But anyways, like, so I don't like how this looks. You can constantly mess around with it, fix it. Mine feels like it's not really a vase. Like, there we go. It's a little bit better. Maybe it broke. Maybe you have like pieces of, maybe I got like a crack and like a piece fell out of it or something. I don't know. But anyways, what caused the noise in my mind was a cat like jumped up here, because we have a cat who is very ornery and would totally do something like that. So I'd start with the head and like kind of space or roughen like in space where the cat would be. Its torso would be kind of here. Again, it's not a very like realistic looking cat, so it can be however I want. Our cat has like a crooked tail that looks like it was run over by a car, so that's why I'm drawing it like that. I don't know. I need to work on my animal legs. The shoulder would be here. The leg would be farther back for sure. I should have like drawn that a little bit better, but that's just how I did it. But you get the gist of where the cat is. And anyways, that was a really bad cat, but that's all right. I'm actually going to move the head over a little bit because it doesn't match up to where the body is. And you'll find that, you know, I don't like how this leg is tucked under there. Erase it. That's okay. Fix things as you go. Don't be afraid to use your eraser. Like, so maybe I just can't even see the other leg, or maybe it's just like flopped down flat. Maybe it just landed. So I'm going to do my lines to make the foot go back that way. And I wanted to make like the foot stretching out back here, but it doesn't really look like that. I'll try to make that a little bit better, like it's walking. But I feel like this leg would be moved back further, but don't feel like messing with that right now. So I'm just kind of creating a impression of like, so we know what caused it. And I'm gonna make my cat's eyes kind of have a half shut look, because I'm a smirk, kind of like, I don't know, the Amazon box. I always say it's like a smirk. Whiskers, gotta have whiskers. But Anyways, to show the action of this falling, I'm going to just create some lines like that it fell. I don't really like that line. Maybe I'll just make a couple like action lines. That's just one way you can do it. You can do like some lines like that, like a longer line going around that kind of shows like that there was, or you could show like a jaggedy line to show that, like, you know, it was like a loud noise. That's another way you can do things to indicate noise if you're cartooning, anyways. Not if you're doing a realistic drawing. You don't want to do that. Mine's not realistic. That's okay. For my style, this works just fine. And then I would imagine that I would probably drop, like I'd be holding popcorn because I'd be like stuffing my face if I was watching a movie alone at night. So I'm gonna create the sort of ovally shape of my bowl. It's not a perfect oval. It's like this line on the outside is gonna be a little bit flatter, while this one will be more curved. So it's like kind of like a bow, like a bow and arrow type of shape. And then I might have the inside be dark, and then I just create some like squiggly lines to show like popcorn or something. I just make them like a little fluffy. You don't like want to stress about perfection, because if you think about it too much, you lose the essence of like what's going on in your mind. If you're just like creating from your mind, it's easier to just like let your pencil keep moving. Just create lines, create shapes. And I'm going to show that it I dropped it. I'm like, whoa, was just some action lines. That's what I'm showing over here. And then I'm going to try, and I need a detail. I really need to sharpen my pencil. I highly recommend having a pencil sharpener, even just a basic pencil sharpener like this. This is just what I use. Always work with a sharp pencil, because this is now dull from me using it so much. I also, all right, so I can tell that like my knees were here, so I'm gonna make that show up a little bit more. I'm going to erase some of these other lines because like I said, I wanted to show that I was like under a blanket, so I don't want like my exact like where the legs would be in there. I'm just giving an impression. Maybe I'd create like a little separating line to show that with the blanket, but otherwise I could just show some lines where the blanket might be to show fabric. I'm getting to the expression. I've got like a cheekbone that's gonna be up by my ear. I'm gonna draw in my eyeballs, cartoony sort of eyeballs, especially because I'm scared. Whoa, I made one eye like really small. And that's another problem of having a not sharp enough pencil, is that when the lead is too dull, you can't create the details that you really want to create. There we go. That's a good one. All right, so I'm going to try to get this other line right there. And then I'm just going to be kind of like a little pupil, maybe wide-eyed, because I just heard a noise. I was scared. And so I'm going to get the eyebrows raised pretty high, nose, and I'd be like screaming or startled. So just kind of like a thing going on there. Maybe show some of my bangs coming out of the blanket. And scraps of hair. Anyways, that would be just like a sort of rough impression. Now, I highly recommend squinting a lot when you're drawing. It sounds ridiculous, but it is an excellent way to get a feel for the composition that you've created. So when I squint my eyes, I see, okay, I've got an object here, an object there. That's sort of like an informal balance. They're not like perfectly one thing on one side of the page and this in the exact same place on the other side of the page. This is a little off from this, but if I'm squinting, it's balanced. When I squint again, like I said, when you think of like where the middle of your paper is, you have to create like a place for your eye to rest. It needs a landing spot. So if I only had this window here, then I've got just white over here. And that would work because I had the bowl there, and that kind of creates, it still pulls the eye across the page, which is what you want. You want your eye to be zoned in on something and be able then to like kind of move around the page. But if there's like nothing over here, then I'm only going to be looking at this part of the artwork. I'm not going, a viewer I'm talking about. A viewer wouldn't like notice any other things going on over here. We got to give them something to look at and create like sort of just, it's just a landing spot for the eye basically. And so I've created balance informally by having something over here, something over here. In my original light sketch that I did, I also added like a piece of artwork on the wall, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't know, that might be a little bit much. It might be too busy. So maybe I'm just gonna keep it as is if I wanted to. This is where I'd have like the painting on the wall. And just sort of just a light frame outward. I don't even have to like put anything in the painting. I could just like, it's just another place to kind of balance. And so now I have like a larger shape, a larger shape, a smaller shape, a smaller shape that creates a sort of balance. And the eye is like moving well across the paper. We'll talk a little bit more about design later. I don't want to get too technical. Like there's like visual triangles and stuff. Like you could look at like this creates a triangle, this creates a triangle. But I'm not gonna get too crazy on you right now, since this is only like what, the second week of class, second assignment. I'm just kind of assessing like what you can do right now. So show me what you can do. Show me your best work and what you like to do when you're doing art. And that helps me to know how to structure projects for in the future and what we need to work on. All right. So that's how I would compose this type of drawing. When you're showing nighttime, again, you don't have to make everything like black and white. You totally can, but feel free to use color. I've seen some come in that have a lot of color in them, and I love that. So I'm trying to determine what, I can't tell if this is like black or blue. It's a black, I don't like that. So I was like thinking about using maybe a sort of like, even like a dark blue. And maybe just some different tones here of blue to show where the light from the television is coming from. So I've got a dark blue, a medium blue, and then I might use like a yellow even to show where the glow from the TV is coming. So this is just a thought. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, but that's part of the fun of art, is not knowing how something's going to work and just trying it out, right? What I might do first, though, is outline all of this with a Sharpie, because I really want this to pop and not be just a pencil sketch for mine. You might want yours just to be a pencil drawing. That's totally fine. Again, I said you could use any media to do it, but you might want to use pencil first, because look how many times I had to erase. So I'm going to go back in now. And also I'm going to try to I'm going to add more details, and I'm going to soften the look a little bit. That's just the look I like to go for. Rounded lines are a great way to create more of a softened like look or feel. So I'm just going to go back over, and I apologize, put on some music. If you don't want to listen to me talk, I'm sorry. You can kind of just see what I'm doing here. You can fast forward this part. Maybe I can fast forward this for you once I get things figured out a little more technically. And maybe I don't even want to have this like such a strong line, because couches, you know, they're like soft. They like, at least good ones. You want to kind of, maybe it's just an impression of a line that I make by breaking it up a little bit over there. Okay, so I've got the couch where I'm sitting. I'm going to do my you can add a little bit of color. I don't know why I like working with oil pastels as much as I do. I never thought I did, but I liked I like the smeary effect that you can do. You could also do like a light wash with like some watercolors if you want, but I'm just gonna kind of create like a night like looking. I'm gonna do lighter over here, just do that as well. Kind of night sky. Make the mountains kind of darker too. Like they should really just be an impression, a silhouette of mountains. And you can see I'm making it darker where the sky is than up front and closer. And then you could go through the whole thing, and if you wanted to, just create like a light wash of, just again, I'm creating the impression that it's nighttime. That's the reason I'm doing this. You could add depth. You could, like, by adding some shading in places. I could do that to the bowl, make it darker in some places. I could do that, like, say at the top of the couch, the side of the couch. Anywhere you'd want to show like some shadows, there will be like, so if my TV is on, you got to think of where your light source is coming from. There's going to be a light coming directly at me, and most of the light will be here. There will be a shadow behind the couch. So I could etch that in a little bit and then go over a little bit more lightly. Again, the vase might have some shadowy areas. Tabletop. The cat, hey, that's a way I could fix the cat, is just, we have a black cat, so maybe this one is too, and he's just like a sort of a silhouette. That's a way to fix some of my not happiness with my cat. Make him a little bit more round on that side. It's really going to bother me. Maybe I might add some details like buttons on the couch or something like that. And I could definitely go in and create some depth where the blanket is, like folds. One way to do it. And then for this, I might like create some variety. Ooh, that one had some stuff on it, different color. Might use some different shades of blue to add variety. And I don't want to add too much color where the light's coming from because I have other plans for that. But I could definitely do it like around the room, mix in some other blues if I wanted to. Even on the face, so could do it on one side of the face if I wanted to. But then I want to end, so the back of the TV is going to be dark for sure because the light's coming from behind it. Okay, just mixing some colors in. All right, then comes the fun part. I like to do is the blending. All right, so I'm just gonna blend this around a little bit, kind of mix the colors together. Get rid of the crayon-y look to it. And again, like put yourself into your artwork, you know, that's part of the fun, I think, of why I like blending, is this like, it's an action with your arm. You can see the difference on like this side to this side. And you don't have to worry about the color being perfect for this type of assignment. I like that I'm like getting to blend in some of my old pencil sketches that didn't come off of it yet too. That's kind of cool. It makes it like a grayish color that gives it even more of a nighttime effect. Okay, and then I'm gonna add the glow. So I'm gonna create sort of a warmth, like a yellowy look over here. And that shows where the TV light is hitting. I'm not gonna go that far. Could put it outside for the moon. And then maybe even have some on the ground here, like where the moon's kind of hitting. Blend that in. And then if you want, you can go over them with a pen to create more detail as well. All right, but that's just this is a really rough illustration, but I wanted to show you some ways to compose your piece. And I don't know if you guys can see that clearly. One way to go about composing this type of illustration. All right, see you soon.